Hey everyone, it is the AFL Yank back here again, and I'm gonna be doing a video showing off my tips for the rest of this season and how I think the 2021 season will go, depending or not if things do get interrupted because of COVID. The pandemic. There was the outbreak in Victoria as of recent, and of course both the Swans and Giants have moved their game from Ballarat to Queensland, most likely at Kazali Stadium or probably the Gabba. I mean, it would be nice to play at Kazali Stadium in case if things do get bad, because I do feel a little bit optimistic about the Swans returning to Victoria eventually. But who knows? Maybe they'll still wear the heritage jumper up in Queensland against the Giants as originally planned. But yeah, of course, the Swans officially planned, of course, to wear the heritage jumper throughout their time in Victoria, which is under threat. But this has happened a couple times during the season. This happened in Queensland too, and also New South Wales. Like, this was before the big outbreak happened over there. Like, there were some hot spot areas that were affected by COVID. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? Maybe I could see the Swans possibly returning to Victoria if things do get controlled with. I mean, this has happened before, but yeah. So this is inspired by I'm taking some inspiration from CARDMAN 22's video that he made recently, and I think Jesse too also made a video of this. Of course, Jesse of True Footy I'm talking about, but yeah. Nonetheless, we're gonna start my tips on how I think the 2021 season will go. So here we go. So yeah, Freo versus Geelong, set to be at Optus. I'm actually going to go with the Cats to win this game. I'll say they win by, as I originally planned to. I think I said I had them winning by, I can't remember. It was like 10 to 20 points or something, but I'll just say 14 points for the hell of it. Tigers, I think they should relatively get a comfortable win over the, the Lions, I think, should get a comfortable win over the Tigers. So I'm going to tip the Lions to win. Sydney versus GWS. This one is going to be a little bit of a difficult one since the game is now set to be in Queensland, possibly at Kazali Stadium potentially. Oh, the Swans could possibly play there for the next couple rounds if things do get bad in Victoria, which it's like 50-50 of happening, probably 50-50. But nonetheless, I hope the situation does get cleared out with in Victoria. I'm hoping it does get, situated out. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, could tip the Swans by 20, like I had originally said in the original video. Cursor's acting a little bit weird, but nonetheless, yeah. Gold Coast versus Dogs, I think the Giants, I think they'll have an okay performance, but I just think the Dogs are too good. Melbourne versus Hawthorn, it's obvious. You gotta go with the D's, and with that, I have them moving back up to top of the ladder. Then St. Kilda versus Port. I'm gonna say Port win this by 4 points, but this should be a really close game. I could see the Saints stealing this one. North Melbourne versus Essendon. I'm gonna go with Essendon to win this game. I think the Bombers will get the job done. I say probably a 32-point win, and look at that, they skyrocket to 7th on the ladder. Collingwood versus Carlton. Admittedly, I'm gonna say the Pies probably win this one. I'm sorry, Blues, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pies to win this round. I think I did say I wanted Collingwood to win, I believe, but yeah. West Coast versus Adelaide. I feel like the Crows could upset the Eagles in this game. I feel like there could be a possible upset, but like I said, I did tip the Eagles to win this game, and I'll tip them to win by 5 points, and they end up moving to 7th. And now on to round 19, Carlton versus North. I'm going to tip the Blues to win this game. I mean, the Rouge, they were really good. They have been pretty solid as of late, but I just think the Blues will get the job done here. So yeah. Essendon versus GWS. This one's going to be a really entertaining game, in my opinion, but I think Essendon will get the job done, hang on for the win, and yeah, I think they'll be the better side, honestly. Geelong versus Richmond. Gonna go with the Cats to win this one, even if it's possibly gonna be at the MCG. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cats to win this game. I'm just not confident in Richmond at all. Just not confident, and honestly. Gold Coast versus Melbourne. Gotta go with the D's to win this game. I feel like they could win by 36 because they've had some big wins here and there marginally, but it's not really like what most people expect it to be, like a 50-plus win here and there. I'm gonna go with the Lions to win this one by 58 points. I think they should get a pretty big win there. Sydney versus Freo, which is probably going to be at GMHBA if things do get better in Victoria. Like if things do get controlled with, I feel like this game will definitely be held in Victoria's. Like if just everything gets controlled with well, which I'm really hoping it does. But yeah, because you gotta love that Victorian crowd. Just the Victorian Swan supporters they're just a great crowd. Just the loyalty from, the South Melbourne days. But yeah, hopefully they do come back to Victoria at some point. I feel like we could potentially have finals in New South Wales if things do get controlled with. Because it would be really dang nice to see us go back home later this season for finals. It would be fantastic to go back home at the SCG. Like, it would be great. But yeah, I'm just really hoping the situations in New South Wales and Victoria do get controlled with. Because I want this season to be completed, damn it. I want it to be completed. COVID or no COVID. But yeah. Sydney versus Freo. This one could be a really entertaining game, but I think, you know what? I'm gonna tip the Swans to win this bit. I'm gonna tip them to win big in this game. Just that consistency and energy they have, I just feel super passionate about. Just super passionate. Dogs versus Adelaide. I'm gonna tip the Crows have just been not very good as of late, regardless of the Crom memes. Like I have to go with the Dogs here. They're just clearly the better side right now. Ugh. My cursor is just acting up. Freaking hell, my cursor just can't. My cursor just acts up sometimes. But yeah, virtually at this point, the teams virtually out of finals at this point, at this rate, are pretty much North Melbourne, Hawthorn, Adelaide, probably Gold Coast as well. And yeah. So yeah, the teams that are virtually out from this point in round 19 are North Melbourne, Hawthorn, Adelaide, and Gold Coast. But yeah, Collingwood versus Port. It could be a close game if Collingwood somehow maintain the pressure, but I'm gonna go with Port to win here. West Coast versus St. Kilda. The Eagles have been a pretty solid side at home, but like with how they've been playing as of late, I'm just not confident in them. So yeah, I'm actually going to tip an upset here. I'm going to go with St. Kilda to win this game. I feel like they'll bring up greater pressure. Brisbane Lions versus Gold Coast at the Gabba, the clash. It's their derby. I'm going to go off the Lions to win big. Sorry, Suns. Collingwood versus West Coast. This should be a really interesting game, but I think the Eagles will handle the job. I think this should be a pretty close game, but I think the Eagles are going to be the better side. So I'm going to go with West Coast to win that game. Essendon versus Sydney. This should be a really interesting game. This could be a really interesting game. Could be another thriller, but screw it. My optimism is just so strong. I'm just going to tip the Swans to win by around like 25, I think. I'm just like super optimistic, man. GWS versus Port. I'm gonna go with Port to win this game. I mean, they have defeated basically every side that's below them, pretty much. But yeah, Going to go with Port to win. Melbourne versus the Dogs. I'm going to go with the D's to win this game. I mean, it'll be an interesting game, of course. I think the Dogs will... I mean, this could definitely be an interesting competition, but I think the D's are going to be the better side. I'll tip them to win close. North versus Geelong. I'm going to go with the Cats to win this game big. And look at that. Cats move up to second in the ladder. So yeah, that's quite a bit of a percentage booster there. Then St. Kilda versus Carlton. This should be a really interesting game, but just with how the Saints have been as of late, I feel like they could get this one done. I feel like this could be a really close game, and I think the Saints could sneak into 8th. And yeah, just like that, Saints sneak into 8th. Although Essendon drop out, which I don't see them dropping out, honestly. Adelaide versus Hawthorn. I'm going to go with the Crows to win this game. I feel like they could get the job done at home. If it is at home. Freo versus Richmond. This is into round 20. I'm going to go with the Dockers to win this game here. Sorry, but the Tigers I am just not confident in right now. Just not confident in them at all. But yeah. Carlton versus Gold Coast. I'm going to go with... I'm actually going to say the Suns win this game. I feel like Gold Coast could potentially defeat Carlton in a situation like that. Geelong versus GWS. I'm going to go with the Cats to win by 20. Just because, home advantage. I mean, the Giants, they could have an alright game, but I just don't see them getting past. Hawthorn versus Collingwood. This should be a really interesting game, but I'm actually going to go with a really interesting game, but I'm more confident in the Pies right now, so I feel like Collingwood will win that game. Richmond versus North. It would be hilarious to see the Roos beat the Tigers, but realistically, I don't see it happening. I'm going to tip the Tigers to win big. And now they're 11th men. Doesn't have the same ring. St. Kilda versus Sydney. This could be a really interesting game. Like, with the form, if the Saints keep up in form, I feel like they could definitely sneak this one. But honestly, I feel like the Swans are the better side right now. So yeah, screw it. My optimism is so strong right now. Dogs versus Essendon. Ooh, this one's going to be an interesting game. This could be an interesting one. Ooh, this could be an interesting game. Super interesting. But even with the great pressure that Essendon would probably bring in this game, I feel like they might lose that one. Potentially. And look at that finals race. It's super close. Eagles 10-9, St. Kilda 10-10, Essendon 9-11, and Freo 9-10. But yeah, basically the Tigers, Giants, Pies, Blues, and Suns, Crows, Hawks, and Roos are basically out of it in this situation. Adelaide versus Port. I'm going to tip Port to win. Freo versus Brisbane. Ooh, this could be a really interesting game. I mean, with how the Lions handled the Saints, I reckon Freo could possibly upset the Lions in this game, potentially, but it's going to be really tough. I'm going to tip the Lions to win this one, honestly. Like, I just think they're the better side right now. West Coast versus Melbourne. Eagles, even with how much great pressure they bring at home, I still see the D's winning this one. Lions versus Collingwood. Going to tip the Lions to win this game. And just like that, they hop to second on the ladder. Geelong versus St. Kilda. To be honest, I like the Saints' form, but Cats I think are going to be the better side at home. And now we're into round 22. Definitely a big finals race here. Pretty big finals race. Essendon versus Gold Coast. I think this is the game where Essendon really boosts their, percentage. This is where they really boost their percentage and sneak away into finals. Like, I feel like Essendon could definitely sneak their way into finals at this point. Honestly, right, with how they've been doing. GWS versus Richmond. It's unknown where this game will probably be held, but if it is held in Sydney or wherever else, I don't see the result changing. I see more confidence in the Giants than the Tigers right now. Hawthorn versus the Dogs at York Park. No clue, no question at all. The Dogs win this one. Melbourne versus Adelaide. Gonna tip the D's to win this one comfortably. North Melbourne versus Sydney. I see the Swans winning big in this game, and just like that, look at that. They're finally in 5th. Then Port versus Carlton at Adelaide Oval. Ooh, this one could be... Nah, to be honest, it's no real question. Port probably win that game. Freo versus West Coast. Ooh, this one's going to be super close. But I'll admittedly say I'm actually going to tip the Eagles to win this game. I mean, it should be a thriller, but I think the Eagles squeeze out of that one. Round 23, Lions versus West Coast Eagles, the final round of the season. The finals on the line. It's a big race between the 11-10 Eagles, the 10-11 Bombers, the 10-11 Saints, and the 9-12. Well, honestly, I feel like Freo might be out of the conversation at this point. It'd be really hard for them to sneak in at 10-12. Like, unless St. Kilda, Essendon, and West Coast lose in this scenario, I think their finals push would be done for. But yeah, Lions versus West Coast Eagles. Unfortunately, with how shit the Eagles have been on the road, and with all the pressure on the line, the Eagles just have to hope that St. Kilda they just got to hope that St. Kilda doesn't win. And with that, the Eagles end up losing their last game of the season in this scenario where they lose to the Lions. Carlton versus GWS. This is going to be a really entertaining game, but with the Giants' form and with how off they have been at times, I feel like the Blues will get the win here. I think they'll end their season on a high note. Essendon versus Collingwood. A must-win game for them in this scenario. I think they'll win this one comfortably, sneaking their way, sealing their spot in finals. Geelong versus Melbourne. I'm going to tip the Cats to win this game. I feel like they'll pull off the upset and tie up with the D's in this scenario. And the percentage is literally tied for first between the Cats and the D's. Richmond versus Hawthorn. Ooh. Oh my goodness. If somehow the Tigers lose this game, this is just... Oh my goodness. That is just going to be hilarious. But to be realistic, I feel like the Tigers will hold on to barely win this game and seal up the 11th spot. So yeah, they don't finish 12th, unfortunately, but they're going to finish 11th as 11th man. Doesn't really have the same ring to it, but yeah, regardless. I mean, there have been scenarios where I've actually tipped the Hawks to beat Richmond, but yeah. St. Kilda versus Freo at the Docklands. Ooh, this one's going to be such a close game. This is postseason. It's the playoffs. No, not the playoffs. It's the finals right on the line. If Freo win this game, they'll finish 9th. If the Saints lose, they end up missing the finals. But yeah, if the Saints win this game, they end up punching their ticket to finals. And honestly, even with the amount of pressure with Freo could provide, I honestly feel like St. Kilda will squeeze a win. I feel like St. Kilda will win here. And even with that, unfortunately, it is still not enough for them to overcome the Eagles in this scenario. God, how many games did I tip? How many games did I tip the Eagles to win? Oh my goodness. Yeah. I did have them tipping against Freo. Hang on, guys. Let me check. Okay, so I do see them winning against Adelaide this week. See them losing to St. Kilda. Could see them losing to St. Kilda. Could see them losing to the D's. How did they lose this many games and still make it in? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. I freaking tipped the Pies to beat them. I freaking tipped them to beat the Pies. I mean, it's possible of happening, but I don't know. I'm like unsure at this point. But yeah, somehow in this scenario, West Coast is going to somehow sneak into finals. When in all my other videos, in all my other tips, I've literally tipped St. Kilda to make it into finals. Like if you see my if you see me on Cardman 22's Discord. So yeah, in this alternate scenario, the Saints still win big, but still miss finals, which is honestly unfortunate. But yeah, Sydney versus Gold Coast. I think the Swans could actually win pretty comfortably. Just somehow sneak in a spot for finals. And then the Western Bulldogs versus Port definitely will be an interesting game, but honestly, I just think the Dogs are the better side. Unfortunately, but yeah. And finally, Adelaide versus North Melbourne. Crows want to end their season on a high note, but how much pressure there is on the line, I feel like I could see an upset here. I'm actually going to give North Melbourne an upset, and just like that, the final ladder of the season I have predicted. I have the D's going 18-4, with the Cats also in 18-4, tied for second. Dogs third at 17-5. The Lions in fourth at 17-5. The Swans in fifth at 16-6. Port in sixth at 16-6. Essendon in seventh at 11-11. And West Coast and the Eagles somehow sneak into finals at 11-11. Despite in this final stretch of the season, I had them projected to, I believe, win 3. Yeah, they win 3 games in this. Yeah, they go 3 of 3 in this final stretch of the season in these final 6 rounds. Then St. Kilda projected to go 9th at 11-11, just barely missing finals. Richmond in 10th at 9-13. So yeah, they end up finishing as 10th men. Freo in 11th at 9-13. GW West in 12th at 8-13-1. Carlton in 13th at 8-14. Collingwood at 14th in 7-15. Gold Coast in 15th at 17-5. No, not 17-5. 7-15. Adelaide in 16th at 6-16. North Melbourne avoiding to win the wooden spoon, going full 2011 Port in the final game of the season, going 4-17-1. And finally, the team I have projected to finish last, unfortunately, it is Hawthorn, going 4-18. So yeah. So now on to the finals picture. First, we have the first quarterfinal. Well, the first qualifying final, I should say. Yeah, between the D's and Lions. The D's in their first game since their first finals game since 2018. Unfortunately, I am going to say I feel like the Lions could actually sneak a win here. I feel like they're the more mature side in this scenario. And yeah. Then the elimination final between the Swans and Eagles. Of course, the Swans, they dominated the Eagles at GMHBA, and in this scenario, if the Swans do return to Victoria and play at GMHBA, or if finals do get played at the SCG, I feel relatively confident about the Swans winning this game, and they win their first finals match since 2017. Port Adelaide versus Essendon, the second elimination final. Essendon, I think, will put on a really good show, but I just think Port are the stronger side. And finally, and then the last qualifying final, it is Geelong versus the Western Bulldogs. I feel like the Dogs will be the more mature side here and win. Then next, it is Melbourne versus the Swans and Geelong versus Port. So yeah. The D's, of course, beat the Swans in an absolute thriller in the semifinals. Well, no. They beat them in, I believe it was, round 10, I think it was. It was either... No, it was round 8, where the Swans narrowly lost to the D's. And with the Swans at full strength... Now, I might sound a little bit biased here, but I feel like the upset could be possible. I feel like it could be possible, honestly. But yeah. And then the Cats versus Port. I'm going to tip Geelong to win this game. I feel like they'll be the more mature side, in my opinion. And, yeah. The next, it's the Lions versus Geelong. The Lions, of course, they've lost to the Cats twice this season. Well, no, I think... Shoot, what was that recent game? I feel like... But yeah, there was that recent game, of course. This game most likely would be held at the Gabba. Well, no, probably at GMHBA, so with that advantage, I think the Cats could get the win here. And then the Dogs versus Swans, the big rematch of the 2016 Grand Final in this scenario. Who do I feel will pull off the upset? Well, with my optimism, I'm going to just say the Swans for the hell of it. And finally, the Grand Final, it is the Geelong Cats versus the Sydney Swans. A possible Grand Final dream of the 2000s. In this alternate scenario, it is the Swans with a great young core, as well as, of course, the great rucking of Tom Hickey, versus the experienced Cats trying to overcome the Grand Final loss the previous year and become the first team since Hawthorn in 2013 to come back to return to the Grand Final and overcome a Grand Final loss and a redemption to redeem themselves. But unfortunately, just with how the Swans handled the Cats at home, and with all that, honestly, I'm just going to say screw it. Shit. I'm just going to say screw it and say Swam flag, just for the hell of it. But yeah, that's my optimistic viewpoint. I mean, honestly, in a realistic viewpoint, honestly, I feel like... an optimistic viewpoint, I would probably say the Dogs, like, to be realistic, but I'm just going to say screw it. My optimism has worked throughout this season, and I feel like it could happen again. I'm just going to say screw it. But yep, Swan Flag, 2021 Premiers, watch it happen. My optimism works. But yeah. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this tipping video. I am the AFL Yank, signing out. Carding the Swannies. And hopefully everyone out in Victoria, New South Wales is doing great. And, yeah. See you soon, guys.